Get to catch up with my pal Kevin Minnick from NJ Advanced Media, NJ.com. And Kevin, looks like, was in the same room as the Millville Meteor. So let's start with that. Kevin Minnick, were you standing right next to the Mike Trout?
No, I was not, Pete.
Oh, okay.
I was not. No, that's a picture from Roy Hallenbeck.
Wonderful.
So
it's a perfect way to put a story together.
Yeah, you do what you can do. And I think I gave the photo credit on there to Roy. So, no, what you're referring to is Mike Trout coming back to Millville, which he seems to have done every year now to present the number 1 jersey, his former, the number he wore while he played in high school, to the whether it's one individual or 2 or 3, however many that Roy and the coaching staff down there decide to represent the school and represent Mike, each baseball season. So Mike Baginski and Nate Goranson will be the two players selected that will wear that number 1 jersey this spring. So no, I'd seen the photo, and I discussed it with some other people, and just threw together a little something because it continues to be a nice tradition that they started back in 2012 to for the kind of it shows that not that every kid doesn't do things and doesn't represent himself well in the program well, but I guess these 2 guys are going to be the captains of the baseball team this year, and they've in their first 3 years of high school leading into senior year, they've represented themselves, their school well, and demonstrate, I guess, the values that the coaching staff come to expect out of a player in their program. So kind of keeps Mike's number 1 alive, and almost honors the 2 kids as well, in that they've shown that they've done the right thing and make, I guess, kind of maybe make good decisions and are leaders, for future kids in that program.
Yeah, pretty cool. Kevin Minnick with us. I remember that when they started this in 2012. Sadly, the first recipient was Aaron Cox, who's Mike's brother-in-law, who sadly passed away. But Aaron Cox is on that list. Emilio Santiago in 2013. Kyle Cox, Aaron's brother, in 2014. Roberto Rivera. A.J. Clark, 2015. Paul Harris. Buddy Kennedy, Ryan McIsaac, and Nick Grotti. Hunter Sibley in 2018. Just a neat thing that Millville does. Now, a lot of people don't remember that Mike was committed to East Carolina University. Of all the D1 programs that, you think you see in the College World Series, East Carolina could have had Mike Trout. Almost. Not really.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost. And I guess, they were crossing their fingers for the longest time, but, obviously they were pretty certain that, I guess the closest they were going to get to having Mike Trout was to have a verbal commitment. So I think it worked out pretty well for Mike to decide to, surpass that those college years.
Before I leave the Mike Trout subject, you have interviewed him face to face though before, I'm sure, right? What have your impressions of him been throughout his career so far, and maybe how you've seen him change from year 1 to now? In the last couple of years, as his popularity has grown, as his, as he's been in the spotlight seemingly every single day, whenever he steps on the field, to get the one-on-one, so to speak, the attention from him that you used to get, back when he was just kind of starting out, has changed. And obviously, he's obviously more of a guy at the national level now, and it kind of makes things a little bit more difficult for the local person, so to speak. Yep.
But that said, in the times that I had talked to him, he really had never changed from when he was in high school. He's the kind of kid he really didn't say very much, and he just wanted to go out and play baseball and have fun and be with his teammates, and that's pretty much what you got out of him most of the time. As far as trying to get a lot of information, a lot of stuff, deeper dives, so to speak. It was kind of difficult because he really, he was just not the kind of kid, just not the kind of guy who went into a lot of depth with answers. But like I said, nothing really changed from high school. I mean, I remember times, talking to him. I remember talking to him after he got called up the first time, and that was got a little bit more out of him at that point. But it was still pretty much the same thing. And through the years and those first couple of years when he was with the Angels, and basically a lot of us had gone down to Baltimore to see him and to talk to him there, and we pretty much got the same kind of answers, the same kind of things out of him. It was always a little easier to get Mike Trout questions answered from others around him.
Right, Torrey Hunter at the time, or yeah.
So that's the number one. That's the first guy that just jumps out at me is Torrey Hunter. You could just say Mike Trout to Torrey Hunter, and you didn't have to say anything else. He'd talk for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So. Not that Mike, hasn't done what he's been asked to do, because he certainly has, but let's just say on the interview scale, Mike does he didn't exactly rate a 10, but he wasn't exactly a 1 either. So
I'm glad
somewhere there in the middle.
That jives with my Mike Trout experiences as well. I look at it like this, when the kid was in high school and I was like trudging over to Absegami to try and get maybe one or two at bats before I had to rush back and be on TV 40 at the time. You couldn't really get a full picture of him. And I do know that, as his star has grown, I don't think he's changed. The one thing that's maybe a Hall of Fame talent as well is his ability to blend in, especially in an Eagles crowd or, just anywhere. He can put his hoodie up and he just looks like anybody else. And, his brother looks like him. Sometimes he'll send his brother into gyms instead of himself to get the burgers, so that he doesn't get hassled. But, my gosh, to have somebody that famous from Little Millville, I think the people that are in Millville give him his distance and respect him. I do joke with him, Kevin. Or at least I know I've said to his mom before that, because I left that when he had his first major league home run, his first home run in the big leagues, I think he was 0 for 3 at that point, or maybe 0 for 4 at that point in the game. And it was like one of those 89 degrees, 98% humidity at Camden Yards. I mean, it was hot, humid, steamy. And I said, I remember I went to Roy Hallenbeck and some other people, Kenny Williams and his parents, and said, hey, listen, I've stayed for 3 or 4 at bats. I got my interviews. I got everything I need. I'm going to take off. Maybe if I leave, something good will happen. And I was going through the McHenry Tunnel and heard the Baltimore radio announcer say, first big league home run, Mike Trout. I thought, oh, crap, Then I had to
I hear you.
Then I had to scramble and call like some other people to make sure that I had footage of that. So my joke is that, he hit his first big league home run because I left. I was the whammy. I was the jinx. All right, let's talk basketball. Enough of Mike Trout. What a huge day today, and last night too as well. But the big highlight is this Metro Classic at. And I was joking with McGarry, the RWJ Barnabas Health Arena, somewhere Buddy Epson and Lee Merriweather are going, they talking about our show, Barnaby Jones? But people of a certain age have to understand that reference.
Yes, nobody's going to understand that, Pete, but just a very few number of people.
You got it.
But you're absolutely right, though. It is, of all the showcase events that South Jersey teams have participated in and the events that have been held up in North Jersey, I think this is clearly the biggest one of the season. There's not only are there a number of teams, state-ranked teams, playing today, but you bring in they brought in national caliber teams, and obviously highlighted by Sierra Canyon and from California with LeBron James Jr. and Dwayne Wade's son, and a couple other very, very top-notch players, big time players in the country. That'll be the last game of the night, somewhere around 9:00. Probably, I'm guessing, probably a little past 9:00. But it's going to be, it's a huge day, and it will all build up to that game. But the state's going to have some high quality teams playing today. I know Elizabeth is fourth ranked. They're going to be playing in the game. Locally, for South Jersey, Camden, which is we dubbed the number 1 team in the state 2 weeks ago. They're going to take on the number 8 team in the state in Gill St. Bernard's at 6:00, and at 7:30, Wawa Catholic, which is number 9 this week in the state poll, will take on number 2 Patrick School in the game leading into that final one. So it's a big ticket, and I have no idea whether the event is sold out or not at this point. But it's going to be a great day of basketball, and this is high school basketball at a different level. And a lot of people will tell me that and have told me and will tell others that it really isn't high school basketball with the teams that they've brought in. This is almost mini college basketball because this is not, for the most part, this is not your typical average public school playing high school basketball. There are, there's some teams in there that draw from all over the country. There's teams in there, teams in New Jersey that are non-public schools that obviously draw from wherever they can. So it's just going to be a great day of high-level basketball, which has a tag on it that it's high school basketball. So, I'm looking forward to seeing a handful of these games today.
Now, were you there last night for Patrick School?
I was not. Mike Kinney covered that for us last night. We break it down.
Yep.
And, we cover certain regions of the state, and there was no South Jersey teams up there last night because I'll be there a lot most of the day today. I didn't go, so but Mike did go up there to check out Patrick School, and they pulled off an impressive win over Huntington Prep, which is a top-ranked, nationally ranked school out of West Virginia. So I'm sure that last night there were plenty of games there. Sierra Canyon played the last game again there last night, and the place was packed. I think it holds a little over 3,000 people. I don't know if I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,200 people or so, maybe a little bit more, but it was sold out, and we expect more of the same today.
Hey, Kevin, last question, and then I'll let you go because you have a busy day, and so do we. Paul VI, maybe bad scheduling here, but Paul VI has their Winter Classic, and there's some big South Jersey teams today and tomorrow at Paul VI. Yeah,
it doesn't fall. It goes up against this event, which for a lot of people is okay. There's a lot of people in South Jersey who would much rather, stick around and see the local teams. And obviously I understand that. And, there's some good matchups in that game. I don't have it in front of me, but I know that there were some changes to the some late changes to the schedule.
Okay.
I believe that
Atlantic High pulled out was what McGarry was telling me against Malvern Prep tomorrow.
Yeah, I believe that that's been filled in by Timber Creek.
Okay.
A team that we have ranked in the top 20 in the state. So, they were coming off of an upset loss to Eastern early in the week. They bounced back the other night with a W, and they're going to be trying to get back on some kind of roll. And they're an entertaining team to watch. And I believe also today Woodstown has stepped in for the game with Lenape.
Okay, Holy
Lenape
Cross. Yeah,
Lenape. Yeah, I believe that's going to be Woodstown and Holy Cross now. And I didn't get the schedule changes, but an interesting 2 days at Paul VI where it's South Jersey high school basketball, and for the majority of the people in this area, that's what they want to see, and good opportunity to go over to Paul VI, catch a couple games, and see what some of the better teams in South Jersey have to offer.
Well, we'll remind our listeners that they should follow you on Twitter at Minnick Sports. That's KMINNICK Sports all together. Kevin Minnick has been our guest, NJ Advanced Media, NJ.com. He's got a busy day of basketball ahead of him, and we look forward to reading all your work. Hey, thanks, Kevin. Good to be back on the radio with you, buddy.
I appreciate it. Good to hear you're okay.
And we'll talk again next week.